In progress.
We were talking about by Matan Torah, there was the level of Tal Tchia, that when Al Kol Dibur Parcha Nishmasam, so the dew of Tchias HaMesim revitalized them, and that same dew is called the dew of Torah. And since the whole idea of Torah is to teach us in Yonim and Avodas Adam, so we must say that this same Tal Tchia and the same Tal of Torah is something that we are given now as well. So again, second page in the printouts, Ois Gimel. Hine Huvalayel is brought down earlier in the Maimer, Gemara Huval Zah Shomer David. And the Gemara it's brought the pasuk that David HaMelech said about this Tal, this dew that enlivened and resurrected the Yidden after their neshamas flew out during Matan Torah. It says, Geshem Nadav Tanif Elikim, the rain of gifts Hashem will pour down upon you, and so on. Similarly, we need to understand how the pasuk says Geshem Nadavis. In the pasuk it says the rain, a gift rain, Geshem Daike. So if so, how does the Gemara learn out from this? Why does he say that the neshamas of the Yidden were returned to them after, by every one of the Aseres HaDibros, through the dew of Tchias HaMesim? Why does it use specifically the idea of dew if the pasuk that he's bringing a raya from is about rain? It's explained in a different place. When it says rain of a nedava, not ordinary rain, is the idea of similar to dew. The point is going to be, like he's soon going to say, that rain is something that's caused by our avodah, whereas dew is something that comes min shemayim by itself without our avodah. Therefore, that's the connection over here. Not just ordinary rain, but it's a rain of an nedava. It's a gift rain. It's not earned, so that's like the level of tal. Still in all, we still have to understand why specifically call it rain, call it dew, and keep it simple. This will be understood according to what the Mittler Rebbe explains in his Maimer titled, to understand the idea of the dew of Torah. And the Rebbe says, this is a continuation to what the Mittler Rebbe explained in a Maimer of his that asks to be able to understand the idea of the Omer, which is of barley, and the two breads that were brought on Shavuos. And that Maimer was explained by the Rebbe on Erev Chag HaShavuos. This is a Maimer that the Rebbe is saying on Shavuos, and the before Shavuos he explained the Maimer previous to the Maimer, this Mittler Rebbe's Maimer he's bringing from now. It says that he will bring forth and he'll come down like rain, my gift. Usually it means referring to Torah. Tizal Katalim Rasi, that the dew, my words will flow like dew. The cause of Zakayala Torah, this pasuk is referring to Torah. Likhi and Imrasi are both referring to my sayings, and my gift is talking about the Torah. Shari Amrei Moshe Rabbeinu. The one who said this pasuk was Moshe Rabbeinu, meaning it was a Mishnah Torah and Chumash Dvarim, which is all from Moshe Rabbeinu's speaking through his mouth. Asher Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai Masada v'chol, that Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah from Sinai and he transmitted it. V'acha Torah nikras al Shmoi, to such a degree that the Torah is called Torah's Moshe. Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu could say, Likhi imrasi, it's my gift, it's my words, because this is his Torah, because the Torah nikras al Shmoi, it's called Torah's Moshe. So over there, on that pasuk, it's explained what are the two expressions. Yarif kamoter likhi, tizal katalim rosi, meaning that Torah has both a level of rain and a level of dew. Yesh b'Torah beis madregis b'chinas tal b'chinas moter. Torah has both levels of dew and rain. The vibes that the Mittler Rebbe explains, the rain comes as a result of the vapor rising from the earth. Like it says in Chumash Bereishis, in Parshas Bereishis, that vapor rose from the earth and it irrigated the entire face of the land. It's referring to the rain that irrigates the face of the land. Like it says in the Navi, like the rain descends, it will quench the thirst of the land, and to cause the land to give birth and to cause growth. That is all rain. That comes from the vapors that arise. But dew is something that descends from above on its own. Like it says, dew will never be withheld. Rain, it says that if a Yidden do not act the way they're supposed to act, so then rain can be withheld. But dew is never stopped, because spiritually as well, the rain is something that's a result of our avodah, whereas the dew is independent of our avodah. It comes completely from above. He says at the next page, so too, there are two types of amshachas and hashpah that comes from above. One is such a thing that comes down from above to below through an inspiration from down here below. That is the level of rain. It's like rain that comes about through the vapor that comes up from the earth. What does that mean spiritually? That comes through toil and service down here below. So we evoke those appropriate amshachas corresponding to what we did down here. Like the Chazal say on the pasuk Yaref Kamater Lichi. Why specifically does he use the word Yaref? It's a very unusual word. So he says Yaref, the Chazal darshan, is similar and to the word Oidef. Oidef means the neck. Neck indicates stubbornness and going contrary to Hashem's will. Shavru habrias es arpon. If the creations break their neck, meaning break their stiff-neckedness, not being stubborn, making themselves sublimated to Hashem, miyad motor yored, immediately the rain descends. So that's what it means, yarev kamotor lichchi, that when a person takes care of the stiff-neckedness, so then the rain comes down. Meaning, so we see that rain has a direct correspondence to the person's avodah. It's Yisrus lo sata, Yisrus lo leila. The service of a person in bechinas oidef or bechinas acharayim. The idea of the neck, that's the service of Hashem that comes from the back. Heipech bechinas ponim. It's the opposite of a face-to-face relationship with Hashem. Achre avay lekechem talechu. Behind. Achre means following, but also achre from the word acharayim, behind Hashem lekechem talechu, that they're serving Hashem only in the way of a back, like Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, like someone that throws something over his back, he's uninterested. What does it mean? That they broke the stiff-neckedness, they broke the neck. The idea of the creatures breaking their neck, their stiff-neckedness, meaning the back type of service of Hashem, is nullifying this type of concealment. How does one nullify this? It comes through service and toil that a person removes and undoes his service of Hashem that's done only in a concealed fashion in the way of acharayim. So the Rebbe right away forewarns, the intention over here is not a literal breaking of the body, ella rather the soul that's in a body. Guf body b'chol ramachi varim v'shasagid, a healthy body in all 248 limbs and organs, etc., and all 365 veins and blood vessels and sinews, etc. Vashvira. So what's the breaking that we're talking about? If we're talking about a completely healthy person, eina ela shviras halev b'vad. We're only talking about breaking of the heart. V'shviras ha'oiref. And the idea that he's breaking the neck seemingly is not breaking the heart. Well, so he says, the Rebbe says, Mali Kotla Kula, Mali Kotla Palga. There's a Chassidish expression that the Tzemach Tzedek said, what's it make a difference if he kills him entirely, he kills him partially, halfway. The idea is, he Shviras HaOiref is like his skafia, whereas Shviras HaLev might be like his hapcha. So it does make a difference as long as I'm starting the process of transforming myself and toiling on myself to change my attitude towards Hashem. And even more so, I did shviras halev ba haguf l'shleimus yoser, through the breaking of the heart, the body comes to a greater perfection. Not only are we not talking about that the body doesn't physically lose from it, but even more so, through the spiritual breaking of the person's heart, that brings the body to a greater level. Like the well-known saying, there's nothing as whole as a broken heart. By days and through this toil and service, the rain descends from above. And the rain causes the earth to be irrigated, and then it causes it to give birth and to have growth. The second Amshacha, he beginas tal like dew that comes down its own, without anything coming from down here below, without an avoided down here below. Just like the physical dew, like dew that comes down its own, like the statement of Chazal, that dew is not withheld. So he says in Ois Daled, that's the meaning of that pasuk. The Kishem Shesh Beis Bechinas El. Just like there's these two levels, the inspiration from above that comes about through our inspiration down here below. And in addition to that, there's the level that's similar to do, and then there's the inspiration from above that's beyond anything we do, the general flow of godliness down here. So the same thing, there's these two things in the Torah, like the pasuk is talking about. The Torah, he calls it likhi, the Torah, he calls it imrasi. And there's the motor part of Torah, the rain part of Torah, and there's the dew part of Torah. The inyan shefa oida Torah nikra motor hu b'chinas chitzonis shebetoram. The flow of the light of Torah, that's called rain, is the external part of Torah. Nigla Torah, the revealed part of Torah, nimshchai de avodas adam v'yigiyas adam. That is the part that comes down through the person's work and the person's toil. Ukemaimer, like Chazal say, Yagaiti matzasi tamin. You should believe a person when he says, I've toiled and I've found. But if you have said otherwise, it's any other combination, we don't accept it. The Mezem, move on. From this, it's understood that the found thing that he finds in the Torah is measured and corresponds to the toil. That's why it says Yagaiti matzasi tamin, but lo Yagaiti umatzasi al tamin. If I didn't toil and I found, you're not going to believe him. So that means that the finding of something corresponds and is in ratio to the toil. So now the Rebbe is going to ask that many times we bring down the idea that the whole idea of metzia, it doesn't say Yagaiti and I gained or something. Use the word metzia. A found object is not something that we earn. It's something way beyond everything. I'm walking the street and I find something. So how does this fit in? So he says, though it's explained in a different place. The entire idea of saying that I will find shows that it's incomparable to the toil. That's why I use the word find, not I will understand or so on. Just like the literal idea of finding a lost object. The finder does not know from whom this object came from. And he finds it not by looking for it. He just finds it automatically. He's walking the street and he finds it. So how do we say that Yagaiti Matzasi have a relationship with each other if you're saying that it's a found object? There's still some type of association with the toil. So if he's toiling in a place where the lost object is not there, he won't find it. Just like in the example that the Chazal say, Yagaiti Matzasi, they're talking about Torah learning. If I am having difficulty understanding a Maimer Chassidus, it's not going to help if I'm going to open up a Gemara or a Pasuk Chumash or a Shulchan Aruch and toil over there. The toiling in the Shulchan Aruch is not going to help me to find idea in Chassidus. I need to toil in the place where the object needs to be found. Like it says, you shall search out from there. When you're searching, you need to search from the place where the item is. In the Daniel Doidim Amarim, it explains that why does it say specifically from there? Search. You're going to search Hashem. Why does it say Bekashta Misham Hashem Elokecha? Because it's impossible to find a lost object only in the place that it was lost. So therefore, even though Mitzvah in general shows on something that's above and beyond, but still in all, the toil has to be some type of commensurate toil to the lost thing. So therefore, in the Nigla of Torah where we say Yagaiti Matzasi, that is a level of Yisrus Sata that brings Yisrus Leila, that is like rain. As opposed to the dew of Torah, that's showing us something that comes from its own. It's a level called the dew of the diamond, Tala, the notif matik kadisha, the dew that drips from the holy level of Atik, the inner part of Keser, that in the future that dew will enliven the dead. Like we said before, the dew of Matan Torah that enlivened them then was the same dew that would be Mechayim Mason. The inner part of the Torah, which will be revealed in Mashiach's times, will be the one that will awaken the dead. That's why it says about the dew, it will flow like dew. The Inyan Tizal, Humaloshan Noizal. Tizal from the word something that's pouring, something that's flowing. It's something that's drawn down, descend very much below, as it is in its source and its root, the level of mazel. In a simple sense, we could also say, I can't discover new ideas in the Pnimius HaTorah. In Nigla HaTorah, there's Kol Masher Talmud Vosik Asel L'Chadish. I could always come up with new insights, etc. In the inner part of the Torah, this is all a revelation from above. So it's like dew. It's independent of my ideas. I cannot come up. I'm going to come up with another Sphira and Atzilus. I can't do that. I can't come up with another world. This is all things that are revealed to us from above. The revelation of the dew of Torah, last line of the page, will be when Mashiach comes. Like explain the continuation of the Maimon in the middle of Rebbe. Top of Shin Mem Hey. This is what the Chazal say. Whoever is involved in Torah study, the dew of Torah will enliven him through being involved in Torah and the revealed part of Torah. These days, it will come down when Mashiach comes, the dew of Torah, the inner part of the Torah, when Mashiach comes. It's also explained in a different place what Chazal say. Fortunate is the one who comes here, meaning either Torah Mahaba and so on, and his learning is in his hand. What does that mean? Through the studying of the revealed part of the Torah. That's what's Talmudai. We in this time we merit the revelation of the secrets of the Torah when Mashiach comes. Usually in that very topic that I learned in Nigla, I'm getting now the inner meanings when Mashiach comes. This is also what the Chazal say on the pasuk, that the Torah will come out from me. He says that there will be a new Torah. The new aspect of the Torah, the dew of the Torah, that's going to be when Mashiach comes, but whereas now primarily it's the level of the rain of Torah, the Nigla of Torah. So he says, but this will also be understood, the fact, why is this dew, the dew with which we enliven the dead? The uniqueness of the resurrection is it comes from also, it's the same idea like dew that comes from inspiration of above, that's beyond our inspiration down here below. What does that mean? It's two different types of rewards, if you will, in our avodah. Like to explain the many mamorim, the novelty and the change and the difference of the resurrection of the dead, what will take place then versus what takes place in Gan Eden when the neshama passes away. The resurrection of the dead is beyond Gan Eden. Which is Gan Eden chulav achar vein daim l'chamishen l'schias hamesim. This is obvious from the language of the bracha of Yotzer, the first bracha of the Birchas Kriyashman Shabbos. That first we say ein zulos kamaken l'chayel mabah going on Gan Eden, and afterwards it says vein daim l'chamishen l'schias hamesim, meaning that's a higher level. Yet, even though it's a higher level, concerning Gan Eden, there has to be the service and the work of a person. There is both the avodah before he comes l'mayla to Gan Eden, that he has to prepare for it to be able to enter Gan Eden, and also in Gan Eden there is an avodah. What's the avodah? The aliyah in Gan Eden. That's the idea of the ascent in Gan Eden from one level to another level through the pillar that's between Gan Eden to the lower Gan Eden to the higher Gan Eden, and these are all like avodas to go up higher and higher. Not only do we see how much avodah is necessary for Gan Eden, but there's actually depends on what we're doing. Not every person merits Gan Eden can move. Like the expression is brought down in many places concerning Elyon, concerning the higher level of Gan Eden, that you need to be a very high level of tzaddik, serving Hashem with a great love to be able to earn the higher level of Gan Eden. Because Gan Eden is like rain that's dependent on avodah. It's the surusla sata, surusla elo. As opposed to Tchias Tnan, we learned in the Mishnah, all Yidden have a part in the world to come. Now the truth is that when we say Pirkei Avos, we don't say the entire Mishnah. At the end of the Mishnah, it seemingly says some exceptions. Even though at the continuation of the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, it says except for certain individuals. So seemingly, why are you telling me that all Yidden have it, and therefore it's beyond avodah, as we're soon going to explain, if you're saying that certain people are an exception to the rule? So the Rebbe explains, still no, and the Yerushalmi is brought down and explained that even though it says except, but it doesn't mean that it's totally doesn't have a part in the world to come, but rather through the refinement and the purification that the neshama goes through after 120, even those neshamas that it says do not have a part in the world to come will have and will get up for Tchias HaMesim. And why this difference between Tchias HaMesim and Gan Eden? The Gan Eden you need to earn, but Tchias HaMesim you have regardless. Let's explain the reason for this. The revelation of godliness in Gan Eden is a type of revelation that is a level that's a limited light. And that is why it's drawn down the level of Malach Olam, the level that fills the worlds, is a level that comes down through our inspiration down here below. Therefore, it's dependent upon what the person does, what the person's service is. As opposed to the revelation of Tchias HaMesim, something completely transcendent, above and out of the realms of this world. It's infinite. And therefore, it's a level of it's the inspiration from above that's beyond the inspiration down here below. Therefore, it's independent of the service of a person. But rather, every Yid has a portion to the world to come, regardless of what he did or didn't do. That's the do of Tchias HaMesim. That the level of do is the level that comes down on its own without any inspiration from above, and that's the level of Tchias HaMesim. That's what we're going to receive when Mashiach comes. So in the rest of the Maimon, the Rebbe is going to go on to explain that really And it's more Geschmack, the Rebbe says, to say that we don't have to wait for the dew only when Mashiach comes. We're going to have the dew as well when we have the dew also now, except it might be in such a way where we're not it's not completely revealed to us, and so on. There's also a very Geschmack word here in this Maimer. The Rebbe says it in a footnote in a different Sikha, that it's not only that on Shavuos is the yahrzeit of Moshe, of David HaMelech and the Baal Shem Tov, but also since we say that all Yidden was Parcha Nishmasam, their souls flew out by Matan Torah, so it's also the yahrzeit of Moshe Rabbeinu, because he can't say that he would not have the level of the dew of Tchias HaMesim, so therefore he also experienced this level of the of a yahrzeit, like he passed away. So therefore it's the day of passing of both the Yisrael Baal Shem Tov and David HaMelech and even Moshe Rabbeinu. We'll continue in Mer Shem after Shavuos.